I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
We'll meet one of northern Minnesota's new state lawmakers, Senator-elect Grant Hauschild.
Duluth's Union Gospel Mission celebrated a century of service this fall. We will talk with its new executive director.
And a Douglas County nonprofit is reaching out to the public to help give a local family a holiday season to remember.
Those stories and voices of the region coming up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. And Julie, I hope you and all of the folks out there had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Well, I know that my family did. We just polished off the leftovers yesterday, so
we might have a little bit left in the refrigerator, but it was fun.
It was very fun.
That's for sure. All right, let's begin with the headlines.
All right. Thank you, Denny. Minnesota nurses voted this week to strike for a second time as negotiations for a new contract have been fruitless. The nurses held a 3-day strike in September, believed to be the largest private sector nurses strike in U.S. history. 15,000 nurses in 2 harbors, the Twin Ports, and the Twin Cities are set to begin a strike on December 11th unless a contract agreement is reached.
Minnesota's State Canvassing Board certified the results of the 2022 general election this week, with over 2.5 million votes cast statewide. 2 northeastern Minnesota legislative races that are going to a recount were the only ones not yet certified. House races in District 3A and 3B, where incumbents lost by razor-thin margins, will begin recounting ballots this coming Monday.
The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources announced the opening of the lake trout season this week. The trout season is open from December 1st to September 30th, 2023 on Lake Superior's Wisconsin waters. In addition to a valid fishing license, anglers must purchase a Great Lakes trout and salmon stamp to harvest lake trout.
St. Louis County showed off the latest edition of its snowplow fleet this week. The county has a fleet of 120 plows to clear 3,000 miles of roads each winter. The county purchases 10 new snowplows each year to replace the oldest plows in its fleet, which have an approximate lifetime of 12 years and have been driven more than 300,000 miles. The new 21-ton plows have the latest technological updates, and they cost $335,000 apiece.
There will be some new legislators representing northeastern Minnesota at the state capitol beginning next year. One of them will be in Senate District 3, a large district that includes all of Lake, Koochiching, and Cook counties, much of St. Louis County, and northern Itasca County. Joining us now is Senator-elect Grant Hauschild, a DFLer from Hermantown. And congratulations on your win. It was a nail biter the night of the election.
It was. We always knew it would be close. So, you know, we were expecting it, but it was nice to win.
So what's it like making that transition from candidate to senator-elect?
Well, you really start hearing from a lot of stakeholders about the issues that really matter to them. And I think that's what's most important, is being prepared to really hit the ground running on day one. And that's something that I feel really prepared to do.
Currently, you're a Hermantown City Councilman. Why the jump into state politics?
Yeah, well, when I was a city councilor, I realized that there were some gaps, that Hermantown didn't have somebody really working with the legislator as much as I would have liked to see. So I jumped in right away and started working with the legislator on some projects and some bonding requests with Senator Bach. And through that effort, you know, some of my fellow city councilors said, you'd make a good, you know, replacement for that guy if it opens up, and look, it did, and now we're here.
So as someone who has been on that side of it, lobbying for resources for the city, is that going to influence or impact how you respond as a state lawmaker?
It is. I mean, you know, I think I would like to be proactive. I want to go to these communities in my district, which are a lot because we're the largest district in the state, and talk to city councilors, talk to mayors, and just find out not only what are the issues immediately, because there's often urgent needs, but what are we thinking about 2 years, 3 years, 10 years down the line that I can start thinking about in the future, because we need to be prepared.
So Grant, what are the greatest needs for your district from the state?
Well, the first and foremost, we have miners at our North Shore mine in Babbitt and the plant in Silver Bay that are unemployed, and their unemployment ended just a couple of weeks ago. So my first bill will be to extend that unemployment insurance for those North Shore miners. We have a lot of needs with costs. We have, funding for our schools and teachers. I think that's going to be a big priority. We're hearing that from Governor Walz, and I really look forward to doing that because my family and I chose to live in Minnesota for education. We have a strong state in that regard, so I look forward to those initiatives.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned how large the district is, and it's a lot of ground to cover, a lot of diverse issues, diverse opinions out there. How do you hit the ground and kind of balance all of those competing interests across that district?
Well, you have to educate yourself. You have to learn about all sides of every issue. You have to know what's the opposition going to say about this bill, what are the proponents going to say about this bill. And that's something that I started doing on the campaign trail, and now that I'm a Senate-elect, I've dug in, right away, talking to stakeholders on all sides of those issues. Because then when you're in those meetings, when you're at that table and those decisions are being made, you're the person that can kind of determine what hopefully is the best choice.
Grant, two of your focuses have been on child care tax credits and paid family leave. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, this is something that I heard a lot on the doors. We have a lot of folks that want to live in the Northland for jobs and just the beauty of our region, but there is a real lack of child care. There's a real lack of that opportunity for families to succeed and look out for their children. So, I think with this DFL majority that we have in the Senate House and now with the governor, I think there's a real opportunity for us to pass a paid family leave program that will make sure that families can be with their kids when they need it most.
Mm-hmm. Is there a danger at all, as the Democrats have all three of those key positions, that there's a little overreach as you try to get the agenda through?
Not with me there, I don't think. My message during the campaign was that I plan to be an independent voice for the Northland. I'm a moderate. I've always been a moderate guy. And so I'm going to be looking at what are the real bread and butter issues that matter for our region and for the state, and how are we moving on those issues. Let's not focus on the side issues. Let's not focus on things that distract us from getting the job done. And so I hope to be that kind of leader in the state.
It sounds
Senate.
like you want to help grow the regional economy. How so?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we can look with the IRRB. There are funding mechanisms to make sure that we're investing in entrepreneur funds, helping people start small businesses, diversifying our regional economy, but also making sure we're supporting those core industries like mining, timber, and the port, and the things that make our region strong and what it is today. So it's a balanced approach. Let's look at the future, let's invest in those opportunities, but let's also make sure we're looking out for those that make our region great.
So often in economic development, people look at the big wins, the big company that comes in with lots of jobs, but it's really those small businesses that do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of jobs. Any specific policies that you would like to push that would perhaps help small businesses in this region?
Yeah, so I was talking about the IRRB. I will have a seat at the table on the advisory board for the IRRB, and I would really like our focus to start to become, how are we creating special incentives for small businesses? How are we creating incentives for somebody that might be young and have an idea and doesn't have the capital to get started? And so looking at those opportunities, I think, could really go a long way to keeping people here.
So what legislative committees do you hope to sit on then down in St. Paul?
Well, I'm ambitious in that I want to be on the tax committee. That's not necessarily something that happens normally with a freshman, but it's really important for our region. I want to fight for local government aid. I want to protect taconite taxes. I want to make sure we're funding education. There's a lot of opportunities. We have a nuanced issue with our county funding from PILT. I won't go into the details, but there's a big tax issue there. So I have a lot of ambitions there.
You sound ambitious.
Yeah. Well, and then education, housing, and energy and environmental resources is another committee as well.
All right. Well, Senator-elect Grant Hauschild, congratulations. Thanks for coming. I'm sure we'll be seeing and hearing a lot more from you.
I look forward to it. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Very much. Thanks, Grant. Time now for Voices of the Region, featuring area journalists and the stories they are covering. This week we talked with author and columnist Aaron Brown from rural Itasca County.
Earlier this week, the Polymet company has issued a report talking about its resources, specifically the amount of minerals, the different minerals it wants to mine at the site that it's going to eventually work with and share with Tech Resources, and the New Range project, they're calling it now. And it was interesting seeing that news come out this week, where these mining companies that have struggled to keep their permits and develop the investment support to actually complete the project. This week, the Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy issued, in fact, just today, issued a report that was essentially a vision document looking at an alternative use for the LTV site, the same site that Polymet wants to use. And what that's going to do, or what they propose, is for a utility company like a Minnesota Power or another to build a solar array, and for the solar energy that is developed be stored in these sophisticated new batteries, similar to the ones proposed by Form Energy. And what these are iron air batteries. So in other words, nearly pure iron being used to store electricity from renewable resources, in this case solar, but it could be others. And so the iron, it could be mined right here in Minnesota, would then store the energy and be able to use it for big clients such as the mining industry across northeastern Minnesota. That's interesting because it's a new idea, but also because it's now showing that there are competing visions perhaps for that property, with Polymet talking about its mineral resources and the new range resources that they want to produce there, and now maybe alternative uses that would still make use of Minnesota's iron products. It's just interesting to see how in any event, these newer pure iron products coming out of the region, both from U.S. Steel and Cleveland Cliffs right now, could be part of what they call a green energy future, a green steel change in the industry that you're seeing in Europe and other places, and that will happen here one way or the other. Grand Rapids, Minnesota is piloting a project for these autonomous vans, essentially, and they're driverless vans, and they can take you from key locations throughout the city, and the grocery store, the post office, these key areas where people would want to visit, and they can take you without a driver. The van comes to your house, and you can get in, and it'll take you where you want to go, and then it'll take you home. It's particularly being marketed and explored as a tool for those with disabilities, those with mobility issues, to get around. Autonomous vehicles have been around for a few years. If you go to other parts of the country, particularly the West Coast, San Francisco, you're going to see driverless cars all over the place. But what they've always struggled with was something we know well here, which is ice and snow, two things Minnesota has plenty of in the winter. And they're testing these vehicles to see how they react and how they handle ice and snow. And they've been tested and designed to handle it. And so it's an interesting piece of science and research going on, while also providing low cost or free rides in some cases to people who need the transportation. And so that's something fascinating going on right here in our own backyard.
For a century now, the Union Gospel Mission in Duluth has been providing food, shelter, and hope for Northland neighbors in need. It celebrated that 100th anniversary on November 1st and reopened the soup kitchen for the first time in 3 years. Here to tell us more is Katie Hegland, who became Executive Director of Union Gospel Mission in September. And welcome. So you've been on the job just a few months. How are things going so far? Is the need about what you expected?
You know, I kind of joke with my team that my feet are on the ground, but we're running. So, you know, we were super excited to be able to be in the position to celebrate such a momentous time for the mission. And it's a great time to make some transitions and make some changes. So the need has been growing every day with the weather shifting, as well as kind of the change of going from curbside meal service to having the dining hall reopened. So we're learning at the same time as our guests are learning what kind of the new mission looks like.
Katie, the Union Gospel Mission is now 100 years old, got a lot of background. How significant is that milestone?
Well, I think it's a tremendous accomplishment for the mission. It's, you know, both an amazing piece to be a part of, but it's also kind of sad that we've had to be around for 100 years. That being said, you know, when we started because 22 churches in the community came together and felt there was a need. And they did start for those 3 humble mission goals, which are food, shelter, and hope. And that's still our goals today. In 1922, we served 248 meals. Last year, we served out of the curbside program the poundage equivalent to 93,000 meals. Wow. So the change has been tremendous, but the goals have remained the same.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the guests that come down there. What do those guests look like? Would people be surprised at the folks who depend on the mission for food and for support?
Yeah, I think that we see a variety of guests. You know, we have folks that join us because it's a place also just for community and engagement, and somewhere to enjoy a meal with somebody else. And then we have guests that are definitely in places where they're struggling and they need, you know, a hand up, not a handout, as we like to say. We have folks ranging in all ages. We have newborns to folks, you know, enjoying their senior years. So I don't think that there's one box fits all for the type of folks that we are serving, and our doors are open to anyone.
Mm-hmm. Katie, the Gospel Mission is going to be hosting a toy giveaway for Christmas. Tell us about that.
Yes, so we are very excited. We have been blessed with just a plethora of toys, and to get them out our doors on December 16th, we're going to be hosting a free toy giveaway. So there's no pre-registration required. Anyone can come in. All you need to do is bring identification for your child, which can look in a variety of ways, a school ID, a medical card. Really just show us something that you think would qualify. And from 2:30 to 5:30 that day, we're going to open the doors and let folks come in, be able to pick out what they need,
wow,
and then have some toys under the Christmas tree this year.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Is there still a need for gifts? You said you had a plethora of them, but can people still donate?
We absolutely can. You know, we're also looking for other options as well. We've given away hundreds of jackets already this holiday season, or winter season, I should say. We're giving away blankets daily. Personal hygiene products are a big one for us. Shampoos, soaps, conditioners, feminine hygiene products. All of those items are really, really crucial, not just on one day of the year, but all of the days of the year for our guests. So
I know the mission is in need of a new van, which obviously is crucial for your organization. What happened to the old van?
Unfortunately, that very first snow day that we had this season, the van was involved in an ice-related accident. So luckily nobody was injured, but the van was totaled, and it was a total loss, which is a crucial piece of our equipment. You know, we use that daily to go out and rescue food from various partner agencies in the community, Super One, Mount Royal Fine Foods, all of those grocery stores and restaurants that donate for us to get those food back out the door. So it's been an obstacle and a challenge. We're making it work right now, but you know, any sort of donations are greatly appreciated right now because we are trying to replace that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And what about volunteers, not just at the holiday season, but throughout the year?
Absolutely. So right now we serve lunches Monday through Friday and dinners Monday through Thursday. We greatly appreciate having you know, a handful of volunteers join us for each of those services. So all they need to do is call down to the mission, check out our website. We'd love to get them fit into a place where they can join us and see our work and service.
All right. Well, Katie Hagelin, thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the toy drive. Good luck with trying to get a new van. I hope maybe somebody watching today will be inspired to give.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
You.
You bet. Well, with the holiday season underway, folks are making their lists and shopping for gifts, but one nonprofit group in Douglas County is engaging people to add a few donation items to their shopping list to help a family that's down on their luck this year. Producer Megan McGarvey has this report.
Everybody sees the ads for Christmas stuff, and you know, they don't know, some kids don't know if Santa Claus has come to their house or if they're going to get anything. They may have had a few years already where they haven't received anything for Christmas. Some people may not celebrate it because of the fact that they can't afford it. And the way our community works to help somebody make sure that they don't have that feeling, you know, just for one day where they don't have any worries, it's great.
Penneys from Heaven is a local nonprofit. We help people that have fallen on hard times due to no fault of their own. Could be an injury, could be a death or an illness in the family. We've been going on for about 7 years.
I got sick in 2013 and I was out of work. We had no money coming in. I was the main breadwinner for the family, and my mother-in-law submitted an application with Best Christmas Ever in Minnesota, and I happened to have the same disease as the person that runs Best Christmas Ever, so we were the first ones in Wisconsin to be donated this Christmas, and that's where it originated from. We branched off from them because we wanted to do it in a smaller, more secluded area right in Wisconsin. And this is our home, Superior and Douglas County, so that's where we wanted to stay. And we wanted to try to help out people here more than Minnesota, just because Minnesota has Best Christmas Ever.
So we put the trees up the first week in November at our different locations. We just went and asked if they would be interested in helping out with us and putting a tree at their location. And we have been really lucky, and these businesses that we've worked with have been our main sponsors and have had trees every year.
I think we all love doing it. It's so cool to see how involved our community likes to get. And it's really cool when they are put in small businesses that it brings people in, first of all, and then people who work there, anyone who walks in, they're not only supporting a small business, but they're also supporting a small organization that's getting bigger and bigger every single year because of this. When it came to the tree and having it in here, I actually found out after I got involved with Penneys from Heaven, I found out later on that back when my oldest sister was little, Salvation Army did something for my family. They got them a whole Christmas and helped them out one year. So now fast forward 20 plus years later, it's really cool that I even have a space to host a tree and get to do something really similar.
On all the trees, they have these tags and they say Penneys from Heaven with our phone number and our website and our email address on them. On the back side of the tags, they're all laminated, and on the back side of the tags, like this one says arts and crafts for boys and girls. So this one just gives you an idea of something that's needed. Then they bring them back to the location. We prefer them not wrapped just because then we know exactly that that's for sure what's in there. Then we deliver a few days later.
We were contacted to participate in this for our senior project. We've collected the trees, we've put up the trees, we've made the tags, and we've been just kind of working to get it all put together before Christmas. And soon we will be having like our gift wrapping party. So we'll take all of the gifts and wrap them so they're ready for the families.
Me and my sister set up this tree, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we made sure to get it up. And so we'd have about 2 months to collect donations. We have the sign on the tree that says mother of 2 girls ages 12 and 9 and 2 boys ages 11 to 4, along with a new baby on the way. We'll usually change the age of the kids by adding a year or subtracting a year, so it doesn't really match with the family, just making sure that nobody finds out who it is, because that really ruins the surprise.
So all of the presents need to be purchased and put by the trees by December 17th in order to get them to the families on time.
Once everything is received and wrapped and everything is packed into vehicles, we show up to a designated spot where we meet the nominator. The nominator will lead us to the house, and they walk in the door and we follow them in, and people start automatically just carrying gifts in. They bring them in by their trees, set them down, walk out, and just keep grabbing more. And it's such shock for the people. It's really neat to watch them because they're not really sure what to do. There's just all these strangers giving them something for absolutely no reason. Nobody asked for it, but it was still donated to them. People are just willing to help people out in a time of need.
Watching it grow and getting bigger every year is so cool to see. So I would say do it if you can.
And with Julie Zenner, I'm Dennis Anderson. Good night, everybody, and be kind.